The evening light, that particular shade of late September gold, slanted through the lace curtains. It fell in soft, dappled patterns on the worn Persian rug. I sat in the green velvet armchair, bought with the first check I'd earned after Arthur passed. The TV murmured a documentary about birds. Coffee cooled beside me. The scent of peach cobbler from the kitchen wrapped the room. This was my sanctuary, my quiet, present reclaiming of myself after years of service, to students, to a husband, to others. Then, the storm. The front door crashed against the wall. Winter blew in with them. Derek, my son, filled the doorway. He didn't look at me. His eyes went straight to the television. God, not this nature crap again. Behind him, Lena, my daughter-in-law, slipped in like a shadow, her eyes downcast. Derek strode across the room, his boots heavy. He plucked the remote from the arm of my chair, his fingers brushing mine with deliberate carelessness. He killed the screen's glow. Go on, Mom, time for bed, or go read in your room. This living room is mine now. The game's about to start. Lena flinched, her eyes pleading silently for my compliance. Go to your room, old woman. I was 78. I had chaired the English department. I had paid off this mortgage. I was not an old woman to be sent away. But in that frozen moment, something shifted. Not rage, but a glacial clarity. The sound of ice cracking on a spring river. For 35 years, I had worked as a recorder of deeds at the courthouse. My job was the taxonomy of lives, mortgages, titles, transfers. I had learned one truth. Voices fade, but documents endure. Derek waited, already mentally on the football field. Lena studied a bookshelf. I rose. My knees gave their soft protest. I placed my mug down with a click. I smoothed my cardigan. Without a word, I walked to the hall, gathered my purse, my jacket, my keys. I left without a sound. The click of the door was softer than his entrance, but more final. I drove downtown to the stately courthouse building. I went to the office of Eleanor Grant, a real estate attorney and old friend. She was working late. Martha? Everything all right? No, Eleanor, I said, my voice steady as stone. I need to execute a 30-day notice to vacate for tenants who have overstayed their welcome. She asked no questions. She nodded. Sit down. The next morning, a man in a crisp suit delivered the formal, notarized notice. Derek called, sputtering. What is this, a joke? It is a 30-day notice to quit, I said, from my temporary rental, a cozy apartment overlooking the park. You moved in temporarily 8 months ago. That temporariness has expired. The house, my house, in my name alone, will breathe freely again in 30 days. He exploded. Threats, guilt, appeals to family. Where will we go? You'd make your son homeless? The notice is legal and binding. The locks will be changed on the 31st day. Then I began the quiet dismantling. I called the utilities. With the deed and my ID, I had the accounts put back in my name only, with a disconnect scheduled for his move-out date. I canceled the credit card he was an authorized user on. I transferred the remnants of our joint savings, now alarmingly low, into a new private account. The truths emerged like stones at low tide. The booming business was debt. The investments were fantasies. In a painful private talk, Lena confessed she handed her paycheck to Derek, leaving her with nothing. His empire was a castle of boasts built on the sand of my stability and her submission. The 30 days were chaos for them, serenity for me. Derek raged, then lapsed into sullen silence. He packed no boxes, waiting for the mother to break and soothe the wounded boy. But the mother had finally understood. The most loving thing was to let him face the consequences he had built. Lena, after a week of his inaction, began to pack. One afternoon, she came to my apartment door, eyes red but dry. He's at a job interview, she said softly. Can I come in? We drank tea. She told me in halting sentences about the constant criticism, the controlled finances, the isolation. He said you were a meddler, but when he said that to you, go to your room, I saw my future. I saw me in that green chair in 30 years. You don't have to be, I said, placing my hand over hers. The notice is for him, Lena. You are always welcome in my life, but you need to decide your own. On the 30th day, I watched from a friend's car across the street. The moving truck, paid for by Lena's father, finished loading. Derek slammed the cab door, his face furious defeat. Lena got into her own car, a used sedan her father helped her buy. She did not look back at the house. She looked ahead, hands tight on the wheel, heading to a small apartment she'd rented for herself. When they were gone, I crossed the street. The key turned. I pushed the door open. The house exhaled, a palpable release of held tension. Stale air, thick with resentment and takeout, met me. Sunlight streamed in, illuminating dust on the television screen Derek had claimed as his throne. I opened every window. Crisp autumn air rushed through, scouring the atmosphere. I boxed up sports magazines, video game consoles, the alien clutter. I scrubbed the kitchen. I wiped every surface, reclaiming. Then I went to the hardware store. I bought paint the color of a peach at dawn, warm, soft, full of light. I painted the wall where the TV had been. With every brushstroke, I painted over the memory of dismissal. Word got out. Mrs. Henderson brought soup. Mr. Colson offered to change the locks. Neighbors came for tea. Women my age and younger sat in my clean living room. They spoke of grown children who took too much, of guilt used as currency, of their own slow erosion. They weren't just visiting, they were witnessing a precedent. They saw the deed. They learned the words 30-day notice, separate accounts, my name on the deed. They learned boundaries are not walls to keep love out, but fences to protect the sacred garden of the self. Lena began to visit, as a guest. Her steps were lighter. She spoke of her new job, a budgeting class. Her voice, when she offered an opinion on the new throw pillows, was her own. Tonight, the evening light returns. It filters through clean curtains and falls on the green velvet chair. I sink into it. The remote rests on my lap, a tool, not a weapon. I turn on the television. The birds return, their wings catching the sun as they navigate by ancient maps. The house is quiet, a golden, peaceful fullness. The scent of peach cobbler, shared with a neighbor yesterday, lingers. I am home. Not just within these walls I own, not just by the deed filed at the courthouse. I am home in myself, a territory I had ceded, now reclaimed, recorded, and finally, irrevocably my own.